Hello, and welcome to another episode of 5 of the Week. Season 38 is now underway. To remind all listeners, 5 of the Week is a weekly recap show discussing a select assortment of topics happening in the NCAA on the SBA forums. As I said, the season is now well underway. Maui, Sunshine Slam both completed and 3 sims already under the belt. The fourth NCAA sim is going to be presented later tonight, so the records and stats might be outdated, but the key portions are still correct and the discussion is still merited. So this week we are debuting something new for 5 of the Week, the Sixth Man of the Week element, which is in addition, of course, to the 5 of the Week, you also need the Sixth Man. The Sixth Man of the Week is a spot for guests to come on and for different types of cameo appearances in addition to our typical hosts. With that, I should mention we have a new, somewhat rotating schedule for hosts going forward. Of course, it's going to be me, okochastar, the top dog, editing, recording, whatever you have, and I will have my co-hosts handpicked from aCrypticPancake, Robotastic, and of course the always lovely Danger Golding, depending on their availability. This week, my second in command will be aCrypticPancake. Welcome.
Hello, I'm aCrypticPancake. As we already went over, I'm still the AD of Notre Dame, and now I'm also the point guard, I guess, on the Toronto Thunderbirds.
Yep, and for our Sixth Man of the Week, debuting the slot is none other than my new NCAA teammate, Buckets McDefense, but probably more well known from his heroics as a North Carolina Tar Heel. It's Taiwo. Welcome.
Hello, people. This is Taiwo, the starting shooting guard for the Toronto Thunderbirds. It's my first time doing a podcast.
Oh yeah, your teammates, yeah.
Yeah, that's my teammate, aCrypticPancake.
Yes, sir.
Starting point guard. About to be getting assists like crazy.
Bro, Robo just got on.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And a last-minute addition to the show, another co-host of ours has arrived. It's Robotastic. Welcome, Robo.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, he's Robotastic, the new athletic director for the Indiana Hoosiers, which we'll get to right now. Our first topic of the week is new athletic directors for season 38. So, we have like 3 times mentioned, the University of Notre Dame Fighting Irish have a new athletic director in our friend here, aCrypticPancake, and like I just mentioned, Robotastic is the new athletic director for Indiana Hoosiers. But in addition to that, I think there's J. Cole 194, the new athletic director for the Syracuse Orange, and DB25 has taken over the Michigan State Spartans job, replacing Rodzilla in the very first days of the season. Thoughts on your new jobs and maybe what effect these other new athletic directors will bring to the NCAA?
As a whole, I'm really enjoying my gig as the athletic director for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. At the start, it was kind of frustrating at some points because this recruiting class was not one of the strongest we've had in the recent years. And so finding some new players that you thought would be good additions and would stay active to your team, they were kind of hard to find. And so after striking out a few times at the start, I was kind of frustrated, but then eventually I picked up 2 new guys and they both seem to be doing really good. And since then, it's really been smooth sailing and I'm loving it.
So how's your filler and dabs and cheese farm getting along, Robo?
I was kind of thrust into it very quickly, getting the team right before preseason started. I didn't really have a chance to submit any DCs or talk to the team. I didn't even have everyone on the team in my locker room. So it was fun getting that all organized.
Have you gotten?
I recruited some new people though who I like Dabs and Cheese. We have 3 freshmen starting right now, so that could be good later on as they develop.
Yeah, have you gotten any advice from the veterans in your roster, or have they kind of kept away from NCAA, like Good Left Undone, Everyday in Bufflin, and the Sixers fan?
Oh, Good Left Undone has given me some advice with the DC and stuff, because I'm still very new to that.
And yeah, so by me, Doc and MW Hazard have also always helped whenever I needed any assistance with anything, and it was always good to have someone to lean on who has more experience with the job.
Taiwo, what do you think about the DB25 and J. Cole taking over their job?
Yeah, I like how they took it over. I talked to DB in the UNC Discord. He talks to us about the team and how he thinks they're gonna do and stuff. And he's always talking about how like they're about to be trash and stuff, and how free dubs for UNC. But he's been getting some good people. He's been doing a lot of work for that team, because his team had nothing when he got the team. It was just Rod's filler and Pablo's like recreate or whatever.
Yeah.
And J. Cole, he's doing a good job. His team is 12-4. He got some freshmen. His filler's doing really good. And Sova's recreate or whatever, if he doesn't retire, they're doing good. It's gonna be hard for like teams to beat them this year.
Yeah, Syracuse Orange may be a surprise to some people that they started out this strong, because of course with the athletic director change, they might have been somewhat of an unknown commodity, unknown, whatever. So maybe the Orange flew under the radar in our post-season, off-season discussion, and well, I think Pancake mentioned them having 2 199s, but they were both pure centers then. I don't know if they've changed their build now, but they're doing really well. And on that note, we'll move on to our topic number 2. It's the Syracuse Orange start to the season. Also, the Maryland Terrapins start to the season, but while we're on the topic, Syracuse Orange, like Taiwo said, 12-4 after the first week of Sims, holding on to most of their core of last season, if not all. I'm not sure. I should be sure. So holding on to their core of last season.
The only Orange player that left last year was Anthony Caramello, and he recreated now, so he's theoretically still on the team, just with a new player.
Yeah. So yeah. Their campaign started with 2 losses out of the gates, but they've since improved with 2 5-game winning streaks, beating Arizona away and UCLA away. So what about the Syracuse Orange makes them so good of a 75% win team in you guys' opinion?
I think the reason they've been doing so well is that they're a very balanced team. Like, whilst they don't have a single player that's uncapped right now, they have a very deep team with 5 players all over 100. And then in addition to that, they have a few more players that can come off the bench, which are also hovering around the 100 mark. And due to that, they don't have to force each player to play 40 minutes a game, which then in turn will help the whole team's production and just how everyone performs as a whole.
I think that they're good just because like they have the perfect depth, and they have a good scorer in J.K. Kirby and Dougie Thomas, and their freshman Isaiah Kid is getting a lot of assists, and they have good big men, but I don't think they're gonna keep their winning ways like this because it's a little crazy, but you never know what's gonna happen.
And even
I
if
agree.
they were to have a better regular season campaign than expected, maybe in the March tournament, this is all pretty much a hypothetical right now, but the quality of teams with several uncaps maybe going up against them would prove too much. But what is most intriguing to me is championship defense. Moving from a starter position last year, played all 82 games with a good stat line of 12 points and 8 rebounds, is now actually coming in from the bench and providing the same around the same level of production with lesser minutes. So if the starters were to get in foul trouble and if the minutes happen to match up with the other team's bench, they, like you said, Taivo, they have the kind of perfect depth for NCAA. For the Maryland Terrapins, the other team in focus here, the Maryland Terrapins, after the first week of Sims, 10-2, off the back of some solid performances by Isaac Allen Richmond and Alonzo Brixton both. Very few would have expected Terrapins to start the year this well after the big turnover in players, almost akin to the Duke Blue Devils, where they, after the season 36 national championship final, the teams both lost 2 of their star players, and last year Duke lost Miles Lefebvre and Cosmo Varimovic, and now Maryland Terrapins lost the heart of the team, Eddie Donovan, to the draft. Maybe more people naming them as a team that's going to grow during the year, but they've started out well. Would this be sustainable in you guys' opinion?
I definitely think it's more sustainable than the record of the Syracuse Orange. However, I also think that in the long run, teams such as Arizona and Gonzaga, who we all at the start expected to be great teams coming in, they both had more slow starts. And I think the further we come to the end of the season, the more that will balance out, and those two teams will start overtaking the Terrapins and the Orange again.
So, I think that Maryland is going to keep on doing well because they have Bretensel's recreate and Big Snouts recreate. And Isaac Allen Richmond is doing really good, and 11's filler, Alonzo, is carrying the team with Isaac. But I don't think they're gonna win their division, but they're gonna be second, and they're gonna have a easy matchup in March, and I think they're making it back to the Final Four because they always find a way.
Yeah, going into the season, most would have expected the Kansas Jayhawks to be the top team in the Big Ten division, but right now the Jayhawks have had 10 games on the road to start the season and went 3-7 in those games, while the Terrapins had 5 games on the road, went 4-1, which is obviously a better win percentage, but maybe not as indicative of their record as playing mostly away. So we'll move on to our topic number 3, about the new freshmen. While there might not be an expected amount of in terms of quantity, there's certainly quality in the new freshmen. So we'll start off with AJ Darrow, a wing player committed to the Indiana Hoosiers. He had the most prediction votes for Freshman of the Year. He started out with versatility to his offense, but needs to find his shot during this year with 6 assists to his name already per game, 6 assists per game, but only 7.6 points per game. It might be hurting their offense a little bit. For what? Next up is Javon Williams, a two-guard who plays for the University of Kentucky Wildcats. Javon starts, plays a lot of minutes, and has good offensive instincts, but doesn't seem responsible yet enough on defense. The Wildcats really need a stopper in one of their smallest perimeter guards, but it's still a work in progress for them.
I think I'll prefer Williams because I'm in a Discord with him, and he like is always asking DD for like questions about his build and stuff. And also Oko, DB just told me the UNC Discord that Duke lost to Michigan State.
Yeah, Duke also lost to the Cardinals.
What's happening?
Oko, you scored 2 points, my guy.
Moving on our freshman list is a Duke Blue Devils forward, Eden Empire, 6'7" forward, is already beasting it out as an upper echelon wing defender with 2.6 steals per game for the first week's sims, and already developing a decent touch finishing inside. And then we come to Pancake's favorite portion. He can present to all of you the next two starting freshmen.
Yes, so they're my two favorite freshmen on this list. And the reason for that being is that they both happen to be on my team. The first one of them is Tuma Jakande. He is our shooting guard, and so he's also a wing player, and he has been absolutely tearing like his matchup apart the past few games. He's in the top 25 in scoring, averaging around 20 points per game, and he's doing all of this without having applied a single point into any of his attributes yet, because he joined last week after the updates had gone through, and so now I'm really excited to see what he can actually do once he's got some updates under his belt. And then for the second player, should I do him now already too? Okay, the second player is Carter Plyler. I hope I pronounced that right. He is also a shooting guard small forward, but he's starting at small forward now for the season. Although he didn't have quite the hot start that his counterpart had, he has been putting up solid numbers, and now with the update that just went through today, he's already at an 80 inside scoring. He's getting his speed up there, and so I'm very excited to see what the future holds for him. In the sim that's going on right now, he scored 16 in our first game, so it's already looking pretty good, and I'm excited to see also what he can do then in the future.
Alright, rounding off the list are the USC LA starting point guard Oscar Jebaseilan. He has all the makings of a future All-American in my opinion. He's already starting to show his passing vision and a dangerous shooter to boot when he's given space. Jebaseilan is already, for the first sims, been in above 35% 3-point shooter, and that should only look to improve. And the final freshman in focus is Othello Hawkins, starting center for the yet so far impressive Maryland Terrapins. Hawkins is already a menace with the ball in the low block. My personal point of view is that he'll keep on improving his offensive instincts and will turn into a monstrous big man, scoring big man in the future years. Obviously, Pig Snout's all-star SBA player Kane Fox is retiring after this SBA season. Our SBA historian Taiwo is here, and he can probably tell us a bit of what he foresees in Pig Snout's Othello Hawkins, or his possible recreate, if that's not.
I think he'll be like Kane Fox. He'll be a 30-point per game scorer in the future, but I think he'll be better defensively. He'll be getting more blocks and steals. He might add in a 3-point shot with him, but I don't think he will. But Kane Fox is one of the greatest SBA players of, for sure, Hall of Famer. And I think that Othello is going to be better, and I want to see him scoring 40 like Moses Mackey did, because I want to see another one of those type of players. Probably never happened though, but
Box scores always getting lit up when talking about these SBA legends. Hopefully a fellow
especially
Hawkins...
the centers.
Yeah, definitely the centers. We all have experience on them. Speaking of centers, the newest craze in the in the NCAA is the void. Well, can you call it a void now anymore? The void that Robotastic left after leaving for the pros last season. But it seems like the Gonzaga Bulldogs won't be missing Robotastic Prime for long, as there's a new dominant center to cleanly take over the scoring job. With the supporting cast matured for 1 year more, the Bulldogs should look nearly unstoppable right now and are expected to find their groove sooner rather than later. Mr. X is the player in question, the newest hot topic in NCAA press rooms, putting up big numbers in a handful of games, all capped off with a historic 67-point performance, tying the NCAA record for points in one game. The game in question was a double overtime loss. Imagine that, a loss versus UCLA. Gonzaga Bulldogs really seem to have some trouble with 50-point individual performances and losses, as demonstrated by Robotastic Prime last year. But Mr. X, technically gifted and still very mobile, he doesn't hesitate to take you on and also finishes at the charity stripe with 88% accuracy. So he's an all-around nemesis for opposition defenses. Do you think Mr. X should already be talked about as the potential MVP?
I'm pretty sure he's going to be the MVP. I voted for him in my predictions. He's an E player, so everybody's going to love him. But he's averaging 32. He had a 67-point game where he almost had a triple-double. I'm pretty sure he's going to win it. But Orlando Valoria III is going to be in second place. He's going to be challenging Mr. X for MVP. He's averaging like 27 points, 2 steals. He's like Finn Zeiglin or whatever.
Zenglin.
Zeiglin. He's like him. What?
Finn is cycling.
Zenglin.
I'm not saying that last name.
Just Finn Pancake. So, but
go with Finsey.
Flinzy, that one guy who said Flynn.
Aw.
Flinzy.
Flynn.
Bro,
Irish saying like
that gets me. I'm mad.
Yeah, but about Mr. X's build, what do you consider? Do you consider it an effect? Of course, it's an effective build. I don't know why I'm asking it this way, but there's not much you need in the NCAA level from a single player. Inside 80, jump shot 70, free throws also 80, then an 85 jumping attribute with points still going to strength and quickness, as they are 67 and 60 respectively. Also has the defensive rebounding attribute at 70 already, so does not face the deficiencies Robotastic was called out for last year. You would bet money on this build translating to the SBA, wouldn't you?
I mean, for sure. I mean, he's already got so much TPE. Like, I'm pretty sure it'll be like a situation like there was 2 years ago with Max Winchester, where he just was miles ahead of the rest of the competition in the NCAA. And then in his first season, when he got to the pros, he had multiple 50-plus point games. And of course, they didn't translate to wins necessarily, but that was because the LA Rail were very inexperienced at that point. But now in his second year playing in the SBA, the Rail looked like a lot better team. And you can really see how in the future, like, players like that just come in with high totals, they'll just dominate right off the start and will always be a good bet for Rookie of the Year then. And I mean, it's no secret that the inside scoring big man is fast breaks. basketball's favorite position and play style. Because those players, especially if they got a good free throw, they just score so efficiently. It's a little unfair. It's like, but yeah, it's good. All right, it's a great build to have.
All right, Mr. X, I will be taking my payment in form of digital transfer. PayPal is my number one preferred option. Venmo comes as a distant second, so hit me up in the PMs. Moving on to our final, well, not necessarily final, but the fifth topic of this podcast. It's our personal NCAA predictions. The ones you gain a TPE for, not the ones I made last year where I called Michigan State Spartans a national championship contender. Well, there are still some possibilities of a failure of that measure. My NCAA season predictions have the tournament national championship final as Gonzaga Bulldogs beating the UCLA Bruins. I don't expect you to have the same teams, but I would like to hear them anyway.
So for me, I also have the Bulldogs in the finals. However, in my predictions, their matchup is against the Arizona Wildcats, and I have the Wildcats taking it just because I think as a whole, they are a deeper team. And in the playoffs we've seen last year with Robo struggling to score, I mean, he had one of his worst scoring performances of the whole season in the playoffs. So I'm just not sure to see how that'll then go down. And on a team that's as deep as Arizona, even if their number one option doesn't score the way they're supposed to, there's someone else that'll pick up the slack.
I had Gonzaga beating Arizona. Opposite of what Finn said, I think that Gonzaga has more depth because they have multiple players with like 200 TPE, and Arizona only has like 3. And I think that Mr. X is not going to have many off days just because he's Mr. X.
For Coach of the Year, as I picked UCLA Bruins to be the runner-up, I picked JG10 as the Coach of the Year. I think, I'm gonna guess, you two had either of the finalist athletic directors as your Coach of the Year.
Yeah. I had
BO?
Yeah, I had BO as my Coach of the Year.
I had Chili.
Chili.
Yeah. I think Chill's gonna win it.
So for my most valuable player, I selected Mr. X, as I also selected him as the Center of the Year. I don't. If I were to guess now, I don't think you have anything differing from that argument.
I have Mr. X for MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and Center of the Year.
Same for me.
Yeah. For me, I put in Braden Wilson as the Offensive Player of the Year just to get just to fish for some potential TPE, as he is now uncapped and looks to profile as a heavy scorer as well, but I'm not sure if that will ever actually make any sense. For Defensive Player of the Year, there have been some 56 votes for Plagueis the Wise, 32 votes for JJ Harklewood, my character, and 17 votes for Aplon Paralexis, and 4 people getting 1 vote. So which one did you all pick? I picked JJ Harklewood after a lot of contemplation. I didn't think Plagueis the Wise would have the favor of the athletic directors voting, as he's mainly pure shot blocker. And Oplon Paralexis, I had no idea about the team makeup going into the season, so the team defense also works in this favor. Well, might work in my favor as it's the Duke Blue Devils. So
I
went for
you. JJ.
let's get this bread. Alright, so now I have the added pressure of these two guys to win the Defensive Player of the Year. Maybe the added pressure of 31 other people voting for me. But
Just don't pull a Michigan State like they did after your prediction last year.
yeah, but this is just a single player.
That's true.
I can't
You
do
also
anything
thought
more.
that Ugonit was gonna get MVP or whatever.
Yeah, but as this is me, personally me,
Oh,
I can affect it in ways
okay.
Ugonit possibly couldn't affect it. Like I can only put my TP into athletics and defensive attributes, which I will, of course, as I lined out in the last episode. For Rookie of the Year, I had Eden Empire, possibly a homer pick. The other vote getters are, where's that one? AJ Darrow, the Indiana Hoosiers guard, featured earlier, with 36 votes. The Kentucky Wildcats guard, Shavon Williams, with 18 votes, and then Eden Empire and Othello Hawkins with 12 and 11. I do not know if Dia is a legit vote. Maybe he is. I don't know.
He is. He plays for Arizona, so I don't think he's gonna get it.
Huh. So yeah, Dia would have not been my pick. Any of the four mentioned here would have been, and there could of course be some noise made by those we presented earlier. Jeba Ceylan, your guy, Tuma Jakande, and yes, the picks and outs Othello Hawkins. What did you two pick?
Yeah, I picked Eden Empire.
To probably no one's surprise, I also went for the homer pick, and I chose my boy, Tuma Jakande, just because I'm excited to see what he can do, and the way he's been playing at the start of the season, I feel very hopeful about where we can get by the end of the year.
Yeah, and the late recruits maybe did not make a lot of sense, or the late recruits were not recognized by the people making their predictions, so you could be in for a treat later in the season, as AJ Darrow needs to find his scoring touch, or the team as a whole needs to find their scoring touch to bump up his assist numbers, and Javon Williams plays well for the University of Kentucky Wildcats, so not a surprise there. It would be a surprise to get the Rookie of the Year. My selection for Sixth Man of the Year, this is always questionable, as you cannot really tell going into the season who's playing as the sixth man. My selection was Hamtu Triv. I do not know where Hamtu Triv plays. The other vote getters in the predictions were Philip Chabot, GLU's filler, SBA filler, and Thomas Sankara. Then the past winner of the Sixth Man of the Year, the Starman. I'm gonna look up where Hamtu Triv plays, and you.
Virginia.
Oh, Virginia, yeah.
That's Joggins
Yeah.
filler.
Yeah. And Sankara plays for the Wildcats, Arizona as well. Isn't that right? Yeah.
So that was my prediction.
Sankara.
I don't really know why I made it. Don't know if they'll win it. I guess we'll see at the end.
I picked Benito de Soto. Last year, I actually got it correct by picking my teammate, but I forgot about him this year, so I picked Benito. I asked in NCAA chat, they said him, so I just picked him.
Benito makes a lot of sense as well. Other picks I would have considered now, seeing championship defense permanently stuck to the bench. He's a good pick in retrospect, and there have been 3 votes for Mark Diarani Plandoli, who is the starting shooting guard for the preseason favorites Gonzaga Bulldogs. So my hats off to you guys, making an even worse prediction than I ever could. For most improved player, I selected the season 37 most improved player winner, Braden Wilson, once again, as I foresee a another jump in his scoring ability and production on the court, and yeah, I don't think there's anything working heavily against the argument of Braden Wilson being a possibility, otherwise other than him being uncapped now and going to the draft, which I didn't know 1 week ago.
I picked OV3 because last year he was only averaging like 8.6 points per game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and now those have gone way up, and he's actually playing defense.
Yeah, and I also chose Orlando Viloria 3 because last year a lot of his thunder was stolen by Dante Zarazel being on the team and kind of filling a similar role as he was, and now that he's the man, he's uncapped now, he's at a very high level, and yeah, he's just been balling out this year.
Did Orlando Viloria started playing small forward last year later, didn't he?
He could have.
Yeah,
He was.
I think so, yeah.
He was playing small forward because Dante was at shooting guard.
Yeah, so that backcourt, it doesn't have much defense in it, but that backcourt triple in a backcourt trio in today's SBA would have been very, very gifted and torching up opponents left and right, but unfortunately both Junior Jackson and Dante Zarazel are now gone, and OV3 is forced to pick up the slacks, carry the scoring load. For All Americans, I selected, wow, why did I ever do this? Hal Maple III, the Duke point guard, as the point guard of the year.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my goodness. You get no tips.
Literally no taps. So, continuing on that note, Orlando Viloria III was my selection for shooting guard of the year. Mallard from the Oregon Ducks was my selection for small forward. Austin Ronick for power forward, and then, as mentioned, Mr. X rounding out the 5 as the center of the year. What did you have for point guard especially? I'm very interested.
Well, I basically had the same. I had DMX for point guard. I had also Orlando Viloria for shooting guard, Mallard small forward, Austin Ronick for power forward, and then Mr. X for center.
I think I picked Mateo Werner or something. Oh no, I picked Webster Chakra. That's who I picked. I picked him. I picked OVC for shooting guard, Mallard for small forward, Austin Ronick for power forward, and Mr. X for center.
So pretty standard all around. The positional winners probably a bit more fleshed out beforehand. So point guard of the year, my only concern for DMX was that even at around 200 TP last season, he basically did nothing. The Gators performed below expectations, and DMX had the same kind of numbers as he had in his sophomore year. Yeah, that must be it. So his numbers of season 37, 7 points per game, 6.5 assists, and 1 steal. It's nothing that pops out from the stat sheet, but improvement on that archetype could prove vital. And on strict TP total, I think he's the top point guard currently.
I think he is too. You're trying to get triple doubles, and it's not working.
So it's TJ6, isn't it?
Yeah, it's TJ6.
Yeah, of course. So
he has a lot of recreate TP also. I think he has like 100 or something.
Mm.
Recreate TP.
Carryover, you mean?
I mean, yeah, carryover.
Yeah, carryover. I think so too. Yeah. So basically a meme build, soft and ready for the SBA. So watch out for those 8, 8, and 8 stat lines next season in the SBA. And the NCAA predictions for all of us three here. Robotastic Prime has long since left us to go to, I think, school. Lol, I gotta go eat. RIP. Yeah. That's somewhere, but not here. So it's gonna be a goodbye from all of us here. Me at okochastar, my ghost of a co-host, Danger Golding, currently presenting the sim with his chicken nuggets, and aCryptic. Goodbye from me at okochastar, and joining us this week, Taiwo.
Bye, everyone.
Pancake.
See ya. Have a good week.
And we'll hope to catch you again next week with another frosty lineup of co-hosts. Thanks.